Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm about to read you my book. I'm a masochist. I love it, but it hurts. I love it because it hurts. Please help me. Please hurt me. I can't get better because that feels good. And for me, that feels bad. I don't know how to love. I actually think without joking that if someone loves me, the reason why is because they love how much I make them feel good. And the way that happens is by them hurting me. And I don't want to hurt them, and I don't want them to hurt me. The whole thing doesn't make sense. I think I'd like to make a movie about a TI who gives a gift to a gang stalker and says, "It's cool, you're great." And then he blows his own head off. And before he says to the gang stalker with real truth, "Hey, it's cool. I know you got manipulated into it, and when you complained, you were met with a threat. But someone has to die, and it's me. And let me give you this gift. Pain makes you forget who you even were, and then you're just broken. And after being so broken, I want to feel like a human being again." I have to warn you, sometimes I try to guilt gang stalkers as a way of destroying them, as a way of controlling them, by writing things like this. And that's never okay. No matter who, bullying is never okay to anyone. So I was in my lesser self when I did this. And if you subtly pick up on this, subconsciously pick up on this, my apologies. And so he blows his own head off and he says, after being so broken, I want to feel like a human being again. I want to feel just kind to someone, and it doesn't even matter who. Even the person killing me, it doesn't even matter anymore. Just let me feel normal before I die for just 1 second. Anyways, I'm thinking about writing this movie. I wasn't actually. I was just trying to guilt people. And I'm thinking about writing this movie, and there's a theme to things I say like this, that if a gang stalker were to read, or even a TI, that the vibe is heavy and it almost feels melodramatic. And even when it describes something very serious, it makes them trivial. Those events, it makes them trivial by overdoing it and by hamming on the heaviness. Regardless how heavy they are, there is always room to use any tragedy for your ego. Your ego loves tragedy. But why? Because it gives you power, whether you're the victim or the perp. If you're the victim, you have the ultimate condemnation to put on them and lift yourself up. By contrast, you're Jesus Christ. You've never been so mighty. Or if you're the perp, you have the power to make someone listen to you, to love you, to hate you, whatever you like. And I've had a guilty pleasure in condemning the gang stalkers for my own delight, which is a sort of bondage too, a codependent, abusive relationship that I am enabling. Partly, it is easy to complain as well, when the alternative is to focus on the things that are more challenging, more creative, more healthy. Today I am doing that, however. I have not smoked today. It has been difficult, but without any effort. After my shroom trip last night, I had a mental breakdown. It was extremely scary, and I regressed to a state of schizophrenia, which is a self-diagnosed state. I'm saying it is self-diagnosed, not to warn you that you shouldn't take that seriously because I was not diagnosed by a professional, but to say because I wasn't diagnosed by a professional, you can trust my self-diagnosis is true. I have lived with this all my life and hid it, so to avoid being forcibly drugged. I've had to leave suddenly when with people to go into a locked room and talk to myself. And talking to myself or not, because I should mention, talking to myself began when I started smoking weed, which was around age 25. But before then, I was thinking to myself, and after I knew the police were watching me in the bathroom, where I would often talk to myself to be alone, and other places in the house, I stopped talking to myself even when I'd smoke weed, just because I was embarrassed people were watching. But I would still have the same dialogues, ventriloquist style, with closed mouth. And if I stopped that, there would be a feeling instead with thoughts, a feeling of arousal and deep fear and shame and guilt. I had no idea this was the result of human sex trafficking, probably from being tortured as a kid, and possibly from being blanked as well. And when I was 13, a 30-year-old gang stalker tried to force ? He followed me in a scary way and asked to S my D. I was obviously trying to get away from him, and he kept following me. But some guy took me for a car ride too when I was like 4, and I think he was a gang stalker. He was a close friend with the police. He was close with the police and a creep. He was driving somewhere and offered to take me since my mom was driving there too. So she thought I'd be in sight because one car would follow the other car. But he just took off and went somewhere where no one knew where he took me, and then showed up like 15 minutes later. 1 second. We still have the same dialogues, ventriloquist style. When I was 13, a 30-year-old gang stalker tried to force ? He followed me in a scary way and asked to S my D. I was obviously trying to get away from him, but he kept following me. Please offered and he was driving some. I haven't smoked today, so I have the smoker's cough already. Follow me in a scary way. He was close. Well, he called the police. I think he called more than once. He called at least once, and the other people in the house didn't like that. Like they were drinking too much or something. Some guy took me. He was close with the police and a creep. He was driving me somewhere and offered to, but he just took off. He showed up 15 minutes later. My mom was upset. Okay. He was driving somewhere and offered to take me since my mom was driving there too. She thought I'd be in sight because one car would follow the other, but he just took off and then showed up later with me like 15 minutes after, and my mom was upset. He called the police when people in our family drank too much at least once. I think perhaps more. He was a creep, I heard. I don't remember him, but I heard a tape of his voice one time, and it sounded very piercing to me. When I found out that was his voice, I was interested and disturbed, and not sure what happened. I have no memory. When I was around 9, a kid dunked my head in the water and held it under at a pool. It was a gang stalker. Another gang stalker strangled me when I was about 14. He was about 16 and much bigger. These events were synchronized. Like when I was 13, my cousin was told to get changed, and I joked that, yeah, take your clothes off or you're dead. And I said that after the adults had just left the room. And I didn't like her. I was trying to be mean and funny. I didn't get the context. It was a ploy. I didn't get the context the way they took it. It wasn't a ploy to be perverted. Anyways, the punishment the gang stalkers gave me for that was they had a 35-year-old man sexually assault me. They waited till I was home alone, where my uncle and mom were not home, and then when I went to the store, they had him get me at the cemetery, which is the one of the places they synchronize still. And then they had a 16-year-old strangle me. And I remember I said this off-color joke as a result of being gang stalked. My humor was off, plus max dark, because of that. Other events like this, if I shot paintballs at a public building, for example, in my teen years, then later a random car would drive by and shoot paintballs out their window at me. When I put a cup of fountain pop on the road so that a car would drive by and hit it, then later when I'd be walking to the store, a car would drive by and throw a cup of fountain pop out the window at me. And also, I'm suspicious now, and even even sure that when I went to some wedding and I was like 10, they put X-Lax in my food to make me shit myself in front of like 1,000 people. I think I've puked in public multiple times as a child from being poisoned. The last 2 times I've heard my mom puking were on days after I thought there was a break-in, and that's just the last 2 times I can remember. Why would food items be visibly tampered after a break-in? To make me look paranoid, or to link up that food is being poisoned, or because it actually is? Even if my mom is a gang stalker, they have nearly caused accidents with both of us in the car. I don't know if she is a TI. I hope she is neither a TI or a gang stalker, and never knows this exists. They have had an Ontario Provincial Police supervise an attempted vehicular assault from a transport truck cutting us off. It sends a very clear and distinct message, doesn't it? How many normies would spot that? And all the implications. Doesn't it make you want to put pictures of the police officers who have committed suicide on a t-shirt and show up at their funerals or families' houses and celebrate? Doesn't it make you feel ashamed that humanity doesn't protect their vulnerable sector from these people? And don't you want to forgive those cops that were the good ones who killed themselves? And if you could talk to them, you'd say, don't kill yourself. Just the fact that you want to is enough. Just quit. Why was I targeted since birth? Because my grandma's brother stabbed his wife, and her other brother spit lighter fluid on someone to set them on fire. Because I was raised in the same house where one of her brothers would sometimes live, I was put on the list as a baby. This is standard Citizens on Patrol cops program procedure, that anyone related to a criminal is put on the kill list. I'm aware other TIs who are added for this reason. There are also other examples of mental illness in my family. Other people much older than me. There are 3 that have been put into the mental ward. I've wondered if our whole family is targeted. The suspicions that happened to me when I was 4 actually happened to some other people in my family around then. At least 4 of them. I can only think of 3 right now. I'm not sure who that 4th one is. I've heard it happens to everyone, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is gang stalking. And I wouldn't be surprised if we were targeted as a family before her brothers committed crimes. The one brother who tried to set his neighbor on fire for harassing him, they said he was insane and put him in the nut house. Before then, we were a military family, I think, because at my grandma's house there was a picture of someone in the war. And we had another family member live with my grandma before I was born who was a guard for the Tsar. And he came to Canada and said it was heaven here, and we had no idea. My uncle also claimed to be followed by people, I heard, and then suddenly never claimed that again. And his son called me by a dog's name. I thought, I bet you're all gang stalkers, and you flipped. He had a fight in high school, and the cops and everyone said, don't worry, the guy you fought is a real bully. In hindsight, he could have been gang stalked. I have 3 family members diagnosed with schizophrenia, all women. Many people say entire families are targeted. There was a history class lesson called the Black Donnellys in class. They are local, Ontario local. A family from the 1800s that got butchered by the police and neighborhood watch kind of people. Maybe not under that exact name, but that was the vibe. They snuck in at night, handcuffed them, raped the wife apparently, but not confirmed, and executed them all. And no justice was ever served. That's the point of the lesson. If you ask about it in that town to the locals, they don't answer. One guy knows the owners of the house now and did a story recap of the true history on YouTube. Many of the commenters were saying, hey, I'm a Donnelly, thanks for giving us credit. I wonder if we were being taught about gang stalking in school by learning about that. Like watching The Truman Show, they are subliminally educating us. There was a comment saying, thugs get what they deserve, in the YouTube video about the Donnellys, presumably from a hater. Would you trust a cop that handcuffs you while asleep before murdering you, and doesn't arrest you, doesn't charge you, and kills your entire family with a mob in the middle of the night, who waits outside and after you're handcuffed, then calls them all in to kill you? a mob of 30 people to kill a family. So I have subliminal awareness. There are people doing stuff to me, but I'm not fully aware, so I don't know that I'm developing schizophrenia. As a coping mechanism, and as a denial, and as a fantasy. But the fantasy is true. If I give you the middle finger, it is true that it is really happening. But if you think about it, although it really happened, it's just you thinking about it when you keep thinking about it later on. You can call that memory or trauma, not schizophrenia. But when you talk to your trauma, when you talk to your memory and argue with it and reason with it and repress it and avoid it and try to express it and try to understand it and air it out, yell out your grievances, yell at the memories of people, or yell at yourself that you're blaming yourself for so much wrong, because that's the logical conclusion when you don't know you're being trafficked. When you fight with yourself that much, it looks like schizophrenia, and I say it is. It consumes everything. I'm not there, just my fight is. I'm not present, just the issue at hand, the trial going on in my mind at all times, triggered by a million things, making me tense up and feel uptight and not okay. And this became normal, years and years of hell, so that when I healed, I was so much needing to grieve that people could actually do this to me, make me mentally ill, so I miss my entire life, my precious life, as if it is worth nothing, as if I don't have dreams too. Who will pity me? When I reacted to something done to me, I got blamed as if nothing was done to me. And I was trying to prove my innocence to people blaming me when they set me up. And no matter the price that this cost me, they would blame me and allow me to die if that's where it led. I felt not cared about, and I was being told that I am cared about, and I should be more grateful. My self-hate, my self-blame was compounded and compounded, and the secrecy of the schizophrenia and the power of it as well. As in, it got more and more intense. Sometimes I urgently needed to get by myself to talk to my voices. Finally, last week on shrooms, I healed from schizophrenia, and it's been the best week of my life. I've realized it's not my fault that I'm being human trafficked, and that just made it go away. Last night it came back, though, for 5 minutes. It was extremely upsetting. I thought I was fucked for life. I immediately repressed it, and then I realized I repressed it, and then I knew for double sure that I was fucked for life. I thought back, you've been not sick for a week. What would your not sick self do? But it felt futile. I already felt like I was a guilty, shameful child, being told I did the most ultimate sin, and it's time for a spanking with all kinds of gross feelings coming up that I'll blame myself for, and that I'll remember the hours and hours a night, at least some nights, not every night, month after month, year after year, crying in my room with pain so intense, like blaming myself for the guy who asked to S my D while cornering me when I was 13, and for getting strangled, and as if I had perverted intent to my cousin. The very weird thing was they let me babysit after that. I never did. I was terrified of her after that. The gang stalkers have been compounding all these events since birth. So each day I'm reminded hundreds of times of each event. Haha, we held your head underwater. Haha, we broke your video games because you're a pedophile, even though you're only 13. But you can still babysit us because we know we are just telling you fictional roleplay, but you believe it. So if that makes you kill yourself, which I started saying I wanted to do when I was 14, the help I got was, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong is more than just the issue when I was 13. When I was 10 and got new jeans and went to the roller rink and someone was dressed like me and approached... Okay, I'm just going into more examples of gang stalking. I don't think I need to do that here because I didn't really like that part. Okay, so let's try to skip to the next part. And so I didn't believe it was well, I'll just read it. It's fine. Let's see. Okay, where did I leave off? And they were going to beat me up. What's wrong? When I was about 10, I went to the roller rink and someone was dressed like me, and they approached me and said they're going to beat me up because we were wearing the same clothes. Another time it happened in school, the guy who let the air out of my tires and was weirdly at the house of the girl who I liked when I was, there's some weird stuff, you know. I liked this one girl, and one of the gang stalkers who punched me in the face, I think once. He punched me in the face once. Hold on. What was it? Oh yeah, he used to tell me when he was in grade 8, he was like, yeah, he used to tell me the intimate details of him and his girlfriend, who I liked his girlfriend. And then this other bully was at that same girl's house, and he tried letting the air out of my bike, and he was just always a bully. And he was also mocking me for, then we have the same genes. And, okay, so, you believe it, he was very hairy, and his last name was Furlong. I didn't know he was a short guy. I didn't know what that was back then. But, you know, and not every short guy is a short guy, obviously. Okay, but when still babysit, but you believe it, so that makes you kill yourself. What it's saying is more than she was 13. So in roller rink, they're about to beat me up. Another time in school, having the bully letting air on my tires. Also had the same jeans and mocked me about it, and I got bullied. And it was weird though, because there were losers, and I hung out with the girls, but I still got bullied. The other guys who got bullied didn't hang out with the girls, but popular guys hung out with the girls, and so did I. And I think my bullying was not organic. I think it was gang stalking. And I can go on about these events and the reasons why they were not random. It is hard to see it isn't random. For example, they gang stalk people related to criminals. That sounds not random. Only the bad apples get watched. None of us are excuse me, did you just say watched? None of us are complaining about being spied on. We are complaining about being killed. And who are we? We are women. But of it is, I don't know what I meant here, this is a typo. But of it is only people related to criminals who get targeted. So how can it all be women? What I meant to say is, they're saying we're all criminals, but most of us are women, and most of us, like 99%, have no criminal record. And so if it's only people who are related to criminals, then why is it all women? Why is it only women who are related to criminals? Because being related is just the excuse. 99% of TIs have no criminal record, no arrest, no charge, no conviction, and no investigation. And yes, genocide is called investigation, but they don't mean it like they're talking about an actual investigation. A sting has a begin and an end date. It doesn't last an entire lifetime, and it doesn't involve drugging children's food. This is something else. But sure, call it investigation. Okay, so this is call it investigation. And if people find out, it will set precedent how badly you use language. Like Fat Tony in The Simpsons, he marries Selma and does it in a different language so he doesn't understand that she is just his Gumar. Don't get caught gang stalking, get caught lying some other way, and let your entire credibility vanish that way. So one day people really do believe it when we talk. And if we win, okay, bullshit warning coming up, okay? The next 2 minutes of reading, I don't really like this. It's just bad, okay? That's all I have to say about it. I'm gonna read it anyway. Just skip ahead 2 minutes, please. And it's not bad because it's vulgar. It's bad because it's just bad writing. And then nobody is protecting them from us. And then they can't hurt us. Okay, I'm not trying to be antagonistic here. And then we're going to get them. Okay, I'm not saying that. And I'm not a liar. At least not right now. I don't think I'm a liar at all, actually. And the war is gang stalking. Okay, this is the bullshit part. I don't like this, but it kind of seems true. It kind of seems like I just plagiarized this. And the thing about plagiarizing is if you steal from someone who's more fire than you, when you say their fire word, it's going to be fire. And then you go back to your old boring talk, and they're like, what? The war is gang stalking. And this also seems kind of stupid, too. I'm saying all the wars that are in service of gang stalking. And even TIs might say, really? You're gonna everything in the whole world is about gang stalking? Really? That sounds a little bit stupid. But this is what I wrote. This is what I thought at the time, and I am sober, so I'm going to read it. There's only one war. The enforcement arm the only war is gang stalking, which of course just means human trafficking, which of course just means slavery, and that is the point. The war in Gaza is so a local person in America can gang stalk you. Your president having power can only happen if you have less. Your rights are removed so he has more. War is a psyop to prime and condition people to be sex traffickers. Okay, this sounds a little bit ridiculous, okay? And I'm admitting that, so, but, maybe this is true and it's just hard to accept. And to prime and condition victims to be self-blaming and weak and scared so they make it easier to be dominated. The act of violence is an order to make you comply, to give up your sex. Maybe not so directly as your penis, but just your happiness, or both. We will kill you, therefore you better love us, and don't love us good and we'll kill you badly. There are good and bad ways to die. It's your choice. Make it easy. Your body wants this. Love us and pretend we are really your favorite, as we force you to say I love you, and we know your Stockholm Syndrome does make you love us, and your sunk cost fallacy does make you blame yourself for our mistreatment of you, and we've starved you for love. So even people like us who you don't love and don't like, you beg for us. You've lost all your dignity. We really own you. We have really turned you into a thing. We used to use your skin as a lampshade, send postcards of you being hanged, mail chunks of your hair to our friends after we hanged you. But now we've turned you into a living lamp. Now you're actually even better than when dead. You're reduced to an object. That's even more vulgar than a corpse, than a lampshade skin. Is that more sick than them? So, to have a lampshade skin? Are the current gang stalkers better than that? What percent of your local gang stalkers would have a lampshade skin? 10%? What about what percentage of the Nazis in the 1940s would have a lampshade skin? My point is that the methods have gotten so subtle that the crime doesn't look as sick, but it is as sick as it ever was. And think about being a victim of that. Do you give yourself the reverence you give a normal version of a Holocaust survivor? No, you say that was the serious Holocaust. What I'm going through is different. I'm going through being a mistake, that everything is my fault. The weight of a Holocaust on my shoulders. When I tell you I cried on my room floor, do you know how bad I felt? I was feeling actually responsible for all these crimes. Do you understand that had my temperament been different, I could have killed myself, and it would have been labeled mental illness? Let's see how much time we got. 40 minutes. Mental illness. So when I cured my schizophrenia, it was a big deal. I try to love people or have friends or go anywhere. If I try, there are human traffickers to make me mentally ill. Hundreds of times a day I am assaulted. And I don't want to devalue the word assault. Okay, I don't want, we can say assaults. There's big assaults and there's little assaults. And perhaps the logic of not committing suicide is that there is a hope that it could end. It would shock me if even one gang stalker has the slightest clue of what it's like on the receiving end. That you want to ask eventually, like a child talking to their parent with full trust, like I'm about to blow my head off anyways, and it doesn't even matter. I don't even care anymore. Why are you doing this? Why are you alive? Why aren't you killing yourself? What is the point of your life? Why do you go on living? For what? Anyways, bye. Haha. The haha is that right before you die, they say they're doing it for their family. And you laugh suddenly that you can die happy now, that such a funny joke found you at your saddest moment. The altruist doesn't know everything you do for you, because they're your family, your property, your stuff. Protect your money. That's what they are. If you were altruist for real, you wouldn't help them because they want to kill themselves like you want to kill yourself. I was just looking to see if the camera's still on. I was not looking for emphasis. I personally think I was losing my way a little bit right here, but I also have found my way coming up real soon. So, okay. You were saying you live in hell. Let's see. You are saying you live in hell because you are a good person who is forced to do bad things to protect your family from violence. But I am the recipient of your violence and I want to live. I am happy. How is altruism doing what someone doesn't want? Are you comparing brushing your teeth to being a Nazi? That you don't want to do that either, but it is just part of the things that you don't like, and just suck it up and say your life being worse than death isn't true because the pain of brushing your teeth and doing the dishes and having to do all that shopping, these pains are normal, and don't blow it out of proportion and say your life sucks due to that. Chalk that up as stinking thinking, and remember you are happy, it just doesn't feel like it. And out of altruism, we continue this celebration of life. Okay, so I'm happy like you, and one of us has to die, and you get to choose who it is, so since we both have equal rights, you're going to choose me. Since we both enjoy life as much as each other, it doesn't matter who lives anyways. If I believed in God, I would be very satisfied with the punishment I'd believe is awaiting you. But I do not believe in God, and frankly, I wish I was not angry and wishing punishment on you, because it makes me calloused, and it hurts me if I am a bully during my writing here. I am sorry to the gang stalkers for being mean. You've really hurt my feelings and scared me. And being unable to defend myself from you makes me very helpless, and all I can do sometimes is try to hurt you emotionally. This has actually lowered my worth as a person to do this, and I would like to redeem my humanity somewhat, and say to any mentally ill gang stalkers, I forgive you. But I am not sure I can even say that, even if I really want to. I feel like if I tried, I'd start crying and be really upset, like I'm just giving up, and have to accept that my life is over. Like you're raping me and I'm not supposed to forgive you mid-rape. Like asking that of me is like asking me to become a gang stalker. At least saying this truth is helpful, and I feel less hateful. Being hateful ruins your life. And again, with human trafficking, you can force someone to be hateful all the time. Whatever you want them to feel, sad, scared, happy, turned on, turned off, humanity will never stop this until all of history is burned, because once you know people have done this, humanity can never live with a guilt-free heart again. And once someone feels guilty, they are easy to control. Once they're feeling guilty, they're hacked. That might be my strategy, to make the gang stalkers feel guilty. I feel like a manipulator sometimes. I don't think guilting someone is good. Even if you hate them, it seems to go beyond self-defense. It seems wrong no matter what, that if someone ever feels guilty, it must come from them, and putting it on them is just shaming them. The guilt isn't a lifestyle, it is an indicator of what not to do. It isn't a punishment. I've been so punished by it, I've wanted to throw it onto others. I know a very insane gang stalker. He is so insane that I clearly see he is a bad person, but I have no anger at him because he is genuinely like a child. He gets so angry and temperamental. He is very gullible, and he's a hothead, and he carries a gun. I'm scared of him, but I genuinely believe he doesn't understand himself or what he's doing, and I believe he feels guilt and doesn't know where it's coming from, and he suffers tremendously. He's tormented. He has tried to kill himself multiple times. I don't wish death on him. I don't see myself as a TI and him as a gang stalker. I see him as my insane friend who I'm scared of and don't talk to. Many times, if I were guilting the gang stalkers, if I found out he was reading, I would not say anything cruel. And even if he killed me, I would not look at him as I would still look at him as my insane friend. Insane is too clinical a word. It's not good to use that word because who can really say what's insane and what's not? But you get the point. Emotionally a mess. That something is urgently wrong and he's casual about it, like he thinks that's just how everyone is or how he's always been, so it's just life. His time in my life has helped me because he is the only gang stalker who I see as just a person. And Stu, fuck you. And for me to make that distinction is wonderful. A baby step out of hell. Hell is a state of drugs. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm really excited about the next part I'm about to read, but I have to clear up some space on the memory card. Okay, we're back. I hope it fucking works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the audio doesn't work, but here we are. I'm really excited about this next part. This is the fucking cream of it right here. And the rest was too, but this is a little bit more of a carnal delight. A baby step out of hell? Last night, I was so high that I was thinking due to the Coolidge effect, being sexually teased but not slept with by gang stalkers is the scientific way to make me the most turned on. And isn't that the point? That women get fat after they get married because nobody loves them then. And Ozempic kills them, so get a TI. Need love? It can be forced, don't worry. And in my high state, I said this is heaven. I wanted to talk to the gang stalker I'd seen, who I imagine as this girl Lil Braids, on the Centaur Girls subreddit, and we were having the time of our lives. She said, "How did you know my husband is gay?" And I said, "Because he surrenders to you the way that you surrender to me, and you are gay. And you are his mom, and I am your dad. And I read your mind and saw he told you he would kill you if you cheated on him. And that meant he insists to vicariously sex whoever you cheat." He insists you cheat, that's what that meant. That meant to vicariously sex whoever you cheat with. He knows if it is your choice, it will be good. We simply had an affair, not any weird indirect messages. And in bed, I said to her, soon the drugs will wear off. And right now, I see you as a man with a woman, not a TI with a gang stalker. And soon I'm going to hate you when I'm not high. So please cherish this time with me now and protect yourself from me later. I have needed this to heal. I've needed the validation of your sex because we do love each other, and I've needed to love you as a person to heal and be bigger than a TI. To die happy, I've needed to live happy, not to escape happy. Thank you. Even if this were to be just a fantasy, I would thank you. Thank you for sharing this fantasy with me. I think you have been deceived by me. You thought I hated you and didn't know you wanted me not to hate you. But I never hated you. And remember, I'm high still, so I'm thinking back to only the other times while I was high. But that means this is my true self. And remember, when I'm fucked up, it only appears I'm less myself because I lose the ability to communicate and the desire to communicate effectively. The more myself I am, the more I can't communicate, when my method of becoming myself is drugs. The other method is self-care, which is difficult, and I am weak. I never hated you because you never hated me. You're gay, so you're afraid of me. That doesn't mean I hate you. It means you feel like I hate you because you are controlled by your love for me. And think that means I'm controlling you. You are at the point of becoming straight. It is very rare. If you don't believe me, remember that I have seen your husband, and you can't deceive me. And you are the same as him. I know how much you hate him, and you're no better. I know you don't hate me because I'm not gay. I'm not complicit in keeping you retarded. I am not codependent gay addict with you. I don't deserve to be hated by you. Being gay isn't retarded until after you're 13. And it simply means you don't trust. A woman you can trust if you are another woman, because you are a woman. You know her. A man is a different species. It is easier to castrate him through marriage than allow him humanity and risk being hurt by him. A stand-in dildo with mommy issues. I have seen your dad too. I know how tiny he is, mentally and physically. I know you've seen him as pathetic and don't respect him. And I know you've only surrendered to women, and I'm the first man who owns you. I'm the first man you've surrendered to, and as such, I'm nice and high to be a good boyfriend and not hurt you. Thank you, this is life-changing. Do you like that I adore you? Anyways, back to sober real life. I am sober now. This is the first sober day in a month, after I regressed to a retarded fag last night with schizophrenia. And then found my balls again and healed. That was level 10 pain. Now not getting high is level 0.01 pain. The feeling of seeing a snake, a jump scare, that happening constantly like a million times a day, and holding and sustaining that feeling, and millions of words become the snake. That is what I healed from. It is the extreme of the same illness that normies have. I am so lucky. I know a TI who is raw vegan. He says he is so lucky that he got so sick. Otherwise, he never would have made the switch. My horror of a life led me to seek help, and obviously that is how I found Osho. And with his help, I found the map of my head, and now I am here. I am still a coward. There are TIs I'd like to talk to, it scares me. Quitting weed might help. I've seen healthy TIs who are not with anyone. They almost brag about it. I don't want to be like them. I'm definitely scared and a coward. It's hurting me to live like this. A relationship was impossible anyways, before last week. I had trust issues, as I have now, but I also had guilt issues that made me feel unworthy. I could almost say it is easier to love a gang stalker. At least you can trust they're retarded. Or evil. Someone else might be acting like they're actually falling in love with you. Then they will say, "Hey, I just found out what you did." And then they ghost me. But of course, they don't say what I did. They want me to think it is this or that and blame myself and then commit a crime. And to see someone else do that to me again is so painful that I prevent even love just to prevent the chance of that happening again. Not that I will believe they're a real person dumping and blaming myself, but to witness someone doing that to me is too uncomfortable. It is easier to love someone you know is doing that because you know the safe word. You expect them to try to hurt you, and you enjoy pain, so you can treat it as an experience in a fetish category and love your kinky girlfriend gang stalker. But if you expected her to treat you as if she wasn't hurting you, then you'd be deceived and used and humiliated. TIs are retarded too. All my girlfriends are retards because they're not vegan. They see people as people, and they see animals as expendable. Gang stalkers see people as expendable. The difference is only a matter of degrees between a TI and a gang stalker. The absolute difference is between enlightened and not. I am calling enlightened cured from schizophrenia. If I get too high, I will trigger schizophrenia again, unless I'm really extra enlightened. And to be that, I need a balance of strength plus getting higher. From drug or from proper diet. Anything that makes you feel heavy is bad diet. Anything that makes you feel light is good diet. That gives both strength and height. The strength is the depth, how based it is, how broad the roots, so it never topples. A fat butt is a physical manifestation of being based. Anyways, thank you for reading. The thanks is that because of this, it is helping me have something better than smoking to do, so I actually don't want to smoke. Smoking would make me worse at writing, and then I would feel you wouldn't read. I'm happier to improve than to say you're not worth it. You've only surprised me, and you've only helped me. I've never expected anything from you, and you've given me joys I never knew until you gave them. Okay, so, I tried to do my eyelid tape. That's all I got, so thanks for watching, bye.